Welcome one and all to the Mudai Manga Book Club podcast. Today's episode number 32, Glory to Paperwork. My name is Louie and I wish actual paperwork was as fun as it makes this look. It looks so amazing, but paperwork is so awful. I'm joined with my co-host.
It's amazing how Machiavelli was able to create the cooking program, discovered periodic thinning in modern forestry, and most importantly, created the idol groups. Truly an inspiration to us all.
Tom.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the show.
Yeah, so everything he just said will come up later. As weird as that sounds.
And then some.
Yeah, so for anyone who's never listened to us before, we do two topics every week. The first one is things we've been reading, listening to, watching, stuff like that. And then our second topic this week will be a review of How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, Light Novel Volume 1, which translates over to the manga Volume 1 and 2.
Exactly.
So Tom, what have you been enjoying this week?
Oh man, like usual, I've read, actually this week I've read almost nothing.
You have ups and downs.
I have ups
You even out now with a regular person.
I even out now for a regular person if I read this much for the next 6 months.
True.
I believe I
true.
have more than 3 times this year read an entire manga series in a week, along with other things. So, no.
Fair enough.
So, I didn't read a ton this week. A bunch of other stuff was going on. But I did end up reading something you read last week. Let's Buy the Land and Cultivate It, Volume 1. You talked about this last week. A person gets isekai'd and they kind of don't really have an obvious ability. So a bunch of people get isekai'd at the same time. And so he's like, I don't really have anything. So why don't you just give me some land and I will cultivate it and I'll be out of the way. Because secretly, not saying this out loud, you all seem really creepy and I don't want to be here. So they send him out to the middle of nowhere, and it turns out his ability is the Supreme Wielder, which basically means anytime he picks up a tool or an object of any kind, he just is super good at it. Mm-hmm. So he swings an axe and all the trees fall down. He swings a hoe and just all of the ground magically is tilled, and everything in the ground is cleared away.
Yes.
He goes fishing and immediately fishes up a mermaid who's like, "Grr, I hate this. Also, now I'll marry you. Because I've been caught by a human. This is the shame upon all of my family. So the only way to deal with it is to marry you."
Yep.
It is very silly. It is very lighthearted. He is stupidly overpowered in very weird ways.
Yes.
And the mermaid is also stupidly overpowered. It's just silly. Mm-hmm. It was fun. I remember enjoying reading it. But now that it's been a week, a lot doesn't really stand out. Especially when I'm like, what did you talk about? It's like, oh, you talked about the Lich. And they beat him up because he found a holy sword along the way and just smacked him over the head with it and won. Like, yep, that's basically what happened.
Yep.
And then they go to the mountain dungeon and a dragon attacks and they deal with that. That's kind of all it is. It's not bad in any way. The art's nice. The story's fine. The characters are entertaining enough, but it's not a particularly unique thing. There's a couple other series that I've read that are sort of like this, that have the same kind of idea. Farming Life in Another World is a similar one, and you mentioned other ones. It's just like a lighthearted random series. Cave King.
Yes.
It's all like that. It is an isekai, but the isekai kind of doesn't really matter that much. But it's fine. It's fun.
Yeah. And this is only the first book, so it's kind of like, okay, maybe it'll find its footing to be something even more unique. Because the very beginning is now very overused, it feels like.
Yeah. It doesn't do anything particularly interesting, and it doesn't really dig into what its ability is. And even though it's like, let's buy the land and cultivate it. So, Campfire Cooking, which I think is the equivalent in tone and seriousness,
I think so.
at least was more interesting because the supermarket food giving people buffs and all the weird characters and all the stuff with the Adventurers Guild and the Merchants Guild and the gods and goddesses, a lot of that stuff came up pretty early. Not to the level it goes up in later books, but there was things there. Right. This one just feels very simple. Although some of the mermaid stuff is kind of interesting. Some of the dungeon stuff is kind of interesting. So it's all right. It's fine.
Yep.
But It was good. I read it. I had it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have that book. I should go read it too. And I read it. I'm like, yep, I read it.
I think it's one of those. It's good. It's not amazing, but you definitely could do worse.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It's a good start if you want to like just dip your toe into the isekai, just trying to understand this kind of story, and
Yeah, I've
it's not going
paid
to have
for
anything
worse
that's
books.
yeah,
I think is the best way to describe it. I've paid for worse. I don't want a refund. It was fine. It was good. At least for now, if you have nothing like this, then maybe try it, but it's like it doesn't jump out at me yet. Maybe something later will.
Right. Yep. And that could be it too. Because right now there's what, 3-4 characters? Mm-hmm. Really? Yep. There's the main character, the mermaid, the lich, and the owner of the mountain dungeon, the dragon.
Yes.
So there's 4 characters, and the last one was introduced in like the last chapter.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I read it. And then after that, I didn't read anything for almost the entire week. And then Tuesday, I'm like, I haven't read anything this week. I haven't caught up on our favorite serials that we keep talking about and keep bringing up. So I went and I caught up on Odor and the Flame and Creepy and Freaky.
Nice.
Oh man, Odor and the Flame, 17, 18, 19 is really good. Okay. All of my concerns about earlier in the series are gone. All of my concerns about how the series will be are gone. This is going to be a good series, assuming something doesn't go horribly wrong. But
right. Yep.
This continues them going off to find the wind spirit, and they're on a ship. Last time there was an invisible one of the
ice
horns, on the ship with them, sneaking around and like trying to attack them. Then like a kraken-like monster appears and is attacking the ship. It's fun. It's very interesting. There's some counter magic you learn about. There's a bunch of the ice horn magic you learn about. Over the course of these 3 chapters, you also learn more about the princess and the merchant captain who's running the ship that they're on to go there. And they get to where the shrine is, and big battle starts. And you get to see some of Odor's new abilities with the iron spirit, having made him a sword that lets him split a giant boulder in half.
That was a cool
The
scene.
size of the ship. Odor is very much... There's only like 3 or 4 attacks, but they're just massive.
Yeah.
It is very, very fun. The art is great. The ice horn they're fighting, who does all of these like sneaking around, is this very careful weenie, and he's such a great character and has like set up all of these plans and backup plans on top of backup plans. It's a very nice counterpoint to some of the other things that they fought against, and it makes for a really good story. They're still in the middle of the fight. They get to the shrine in 18, and they're fighting him in 19, and they're going to continue fighting him probably for another couple chapters, but it's been real good. So
yeah,
really
because now the girl is going to fight.
Yes.
Which will be interesting. That's another thing. You learn more about the backstory of who the princess is.
Yeah.
And why she's fighting too, which is really cool.
Yeah. You still haven't learned a lot about her, but it's an interesting set of concepts. And you start learning about the merchant guy who is leading them to the shrine, and he's actually more and more interesting with time, which I think was always going to be the point. He sort of shows up and he's just there, but it's like, he's the classic character who wants to go out with every girl around. And it's like, yeah, sure. That's what he is in like the first chapter, but you realize there's so much more to him. Yep. And in chapter 19, you get the idea of how he turned into what he was, and it's a great, pretty shonen-y like set of circumstances, but it's good. Yep. So, Odor and the Flame.
Forget. Do we know where the hero is?
I think he's off doing something else. I'm not super caught up, and I can't remember. I think they know he's off doing something else, and they're going to the Wind Spirit instead because that's not on the front lines, and the hero is heading towards the front lines or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, the guy who's actually powerful isn't in the story.
Yeah. I mean, the other people there are all pretty powerful. Odor has gotten fairly strong. Princess is fairly strong. True. The princess's guardian who shows up for this section is very powerful and knows a bunch of other magic.
Yep, that's true.
cancels out the invisibility and a bunch of the ice horn spells and makes for an interesting battle on the ship. It's good. I'm definitely looking forward to more. And
Yeah,
I'm
it should be
very
good.
happy with it. Then Creepy and the Freaky. I caught up in the last two chapters.
These were good. I like these ones.
These were really good. So 22 is the story of the umbrella.
Yep.
I'm not going to go into detail on everything, but just sort of, and it's one of the coolest curse ideas ever of just someone is like setting out objects that are not so that are like to like get people to use them and destroy them. And in the US this probably seems really weird, but this is such a Japanese thing of like a not broken but like sort of okay umbrella that was sort of left behind on a rainy day, and it's like, well, I need something. And so someone will just take it. It is such a Japanese thing that could happen, and it's like, oh yeah, now it will curse you and it will kill you. And it's like, what?
Yeah, because it's not something that will go in the trash, but it's good enough to use, but it's not yours.
Yep.
But you take it anyways.
Yep.
And thus you are cursed.
Yep.
It's a cool one. Yeah.
23 with the bouquets.
Oh, yeah.
Brings back the politician, and the politician continues to be amazing.
Yep.
It's this idea of bouquets that will just be left out as if they're a memorial for someone, but nothing's happened. And then a couple days later, something happens and someone dies, and they're like trying to figure out what's going on and trying to, like, can we prevent it? Can we alter it? And the politician is one of my favorite characters. And at the end of this, you get to see her be an absolute psychopath without actually harming anyone, when she talks about like, oh, well, like we figured out now that we can't prevent what's going to happen. So we do this, this, and this. And it just backs away and it just shows her like smiling. And it's like, oh my God, this is terrifying.
But it's a really creepy, like scratched out face kind of smile.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Even the NPC is scared of her.
Yeah. 23 is an excellent chapter.
Yeah.
And 22 and 23 have started hinting at something going on in the animal village. 24 ends on a cliffhanger of this, but irrespective of that, the story about the room in the basement, this is another just flat, creepy story. There's not that much to it. It's not clever or strange or like, oh man, I would have never thought of that. It's just a very obvious, creepy story of, hey, this house, something bad happened in it. Oh, hey, there's this thing on the design that's really strange. Like this room is built weird and it leads into this weird room in the basement. And then that destroys your life going down there. So the horror story's not super unique, but it's good. But hey, cliffhanger for narrative plot development. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Also, the box is terrifying. The box is absolutely terrifying. Where
they're always weird, but
yeah. But this is the side profiles of two faces being put next to each other to make a different face. It's freaking weird as all get out.
Yeah. But as you were saying, these last few chapters have had a lot of like subtle overall plots getting mixed in at the beginning or the end.
I wouldn't call them subtle because you mentioned, there's like hidden numbers and weird things going on. These are not subtle. Well, I'm not paying attention to those.
Yeah.
And I still notice them because it's, me.
True.
U-shaped bunny head person being like, it begins.
No,
it's not subtle.
The subtle things, yes. Compared to those, these are less subtle, but it's more of a there's the world of the boxes, and then there's the world of the animals, and because the boxes all feel like they could be their own story, but they all kind of connect in weird ways. But the animal ones have always felt like, okay, where's this going? And now I think we have a better idea of where it's going.
Yeah, well, even if we don't know where it necessarily is going,
it's
going somewhere and it's now moving, which is also different because I think the couple of chapters before this, there's been kind of very little of the animal world.
Yeah.
So it's coming back and it's like now stuff's happening. Not always, but there's been a couple chapters where it's like, yep, the animals exist. They open the box and we move on.
There were quite a few chapters like that, yes.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's like, okay, what's going on? Because something weird is going on. I bet I don't know if I want to speculate or not, but I bet the animal world isn't as cuddly as it appears.
Oh, absolutely not.
But I can't tell if that's because is the main character... I don't have it in front of me. I forget. The main character...
Frog
animal.
thing. Frog-like thing.
The frog-like thing. Yeah. I can't tell if its mind is messed up and it's making everything cute, or there's like an illusion on everything to make it cute, and the rabbit and the cat are just trying to keep the illusion. Yeah. And then there's that weird tentacle thing that I don't know what it really is.
Yeah. I mean, because I think when we saw like the frog, dog, cat things past in its old society, that was not obviously terrifying, but really confusing and disconcerting.
Yes.
So I don't think it's that the world is really that nice, but it's not. I think it actually is like that, but I don't know. Also, I just was looking to see if I can remember what chapter that was from, and I saw a preview picture from one of the old chapters, and I just remembered U-shaped bunny at one point was wearing hats, and so they had a hat on each end of its U-shaped ear things. And it's like, why does he have two hats on? It's like, that makes so much sense and no sense at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's just a great thing. That has nothing to do with anything else. Nothing to do with what I've read. That was just chapter 20, but
because
it's
they can.
Because they can. Because they can. But that's it for me this week. Yeah, that's all I've read.
Nice. Those are good.
What about you? What have you been up to? What have you been reading? I say, knowing exactly what you've been reading.
So let's see. We'll start off with the first one on the list just because. So I finished Mushoku Tensei, Reincarnated in Another World. I think that's the full title.
Jobless Reincarnation.
Jobless Reincarnation. Yeah. Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. So that was volume 25 and 26.
Yep.
It is really good.
Okay.
It is. So 25 is like the battle. Huge battles going on.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil who's fighting who and who's defeated and things like that.
Okay.
But so that happens in 25. There's a huge battle and then the repercussions of that. And then 26 is the true final battle where the last hope for the man god shows up and they have to deal with him and then the Rudy's group. They have a final fight. Crazy stuff happens and then it ends. So the battle's over, things like that. So then the story kind of goes off into the sunset almost, which is the way it ends is very confusing why there's a follow-up series. But when I looked into the follow-up series, what it is there's times where they do time skips. Yeah. And especially in the last few books, there's a bunch of time skips. It's short stories about the side characters. So, for example, there's an arc about his kids going to school and things like that, and their first day at school, and someone gets married. So they're not the continuation of the story. They're more, okay, what happened in between
all those other points,
all this other stuff, because there's a time skip after the final battle, and then there's a giant time skip to the end of the story, and it's like it ends on a really good ending. I don't know if you could have done a better ending the way it ends.
Okay.
Like I don't think it's possible. I don't think there's any other way you could have ended it to be better. It's just that's it. It's over. It's done. There's no way it's coming back. And it does. Okay. So it answers a lot of important questions at the end. And like one of the big questions gets answered. The one thing I'm still unsure about is why the man god is such a jerk. That is not really answered. I think that's just how he is. That's just his personality. He is just a jerk to everyone, and that's what he does. Okay. Because he can, because he's an all-powerful and things like that. Yeah. But, yeah, it ends... So there's a bunch of things that happen at the end that I won't spoil, but it's really, really good. It's a really good ending.
Very nice.
Yes. So that was 26 books. 26 light novels. And, yeah. That took a while. Yep. But it's worth it. So the anime goes up to... There's a new season coming out. I think it's not even halfway through. So it's going to be years if they ever finish this. Like, the ending will be awesome if they actually do it for the show. Yeah. But you're not going to see that for...
a long time.
A decade. Because there's...
Sounds about right.
Because, like, every anime season's, like, 3-ish books. 3-ish light novels. So I think this new one will go to book 12. Like, some of the books are shorter than others. Like, so book 25 is a full book. Book 26 is it's maybe like the actual story part is maybe 2/3 of the book, and then it has a bunch of like extra stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, it's really good. Definitely recommend finishing it if you like the story, because it finishes on a really good ending.
Cool.
Yeah. And then I read the first volume of Cells at Work.
Woo!
Yes. I had read the first chapter a long time ago, just as like a preview. Yeah. And then I actually finished reading the full book. And because I had seen the show, like the first few episodes of the show, I was like, that's funny. So I read the book. It's like, if you have no idea what Cells at Work is, it is the pretty much following the cells that live in your body and their day-to-day lives. Mm-hmm. Mostly it focuses on a red blood cell and a white cell. Yep. So no one has a real name. They're just what they are. Because there's white cell, red blood cells, but there's tons of red blood cells. But so if you did this as a book, I don't know how you'd have to give them individual names, because there's just them everywhere. But it's the red blood cell is always the same one that they're talking about. And the white blood cell is always the same one. And then there's other characters who are different cells. Yep. Like there's
platelets and
a bunch
of nerve cells.
Yes.
And things like that.
But the idea is it's trying to explain how your body works, sort of, through this story of following these characters around and doing what they do.
Yeah.
So it talks about like what red blood cells do. They take oxygen and nutrients throughout the body, and white blood cells hunt down viruses in the most brutal way possible. Yeah. So if you're squeamish to violence, there's a lot of violence in this, because the white blood cells don't hold back as they rip viruses apart.
Yeah. It's not that bad, but it is like weirdly bloody for how the rest of the series is, even though their main character is a red blood cell.
Yes. Because the white blood cell, you see him stab and then just get covered in blood.
Yeah. It's like a TV sitcom that every once in a while turns into like an 80s slasher flick for like 2 pages and then immediately goes back. And one of the main characters is just wandering around covered in blood for the rest of the scene.
Because he hunts viruses.
Yeah. It's just what he does. But
there's really funny scenes. It's trying to explain it as best they can while also being funny, but also just being weird, just because your body's weird.
Yep.
And has a lot of strange cells in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like it. Yeah, I'll probably pick up the rest of them. I know there's a bunch of spin-off stories.
Yeah, there's like at least 4 or 5 spin-off stories, including one where it's specifically about a woman's body. There's one where it's a body that has not been taken care of and is like a smoker who's overweight or something.
Yeah.
And there's a couple others where it's just like, okay, same thing, but instead we're focusing on a body with this other weird thing going on.
Yeah. So. But the original Cells at Work is really good. It has, if you're worried about which one it is, it's the one with the, I gotta remember who's actually on the cover, because there's a bunch of different ones. It's the one with a red blood cell and a white blood cell. It's just someone has red shirt and carrying a box, and then the white blood cell is a guy just completely white with blood on his hands. Yeah. So,
and they're short series.
Yeah. I don't know how technical it is, like accurate wise with how the body works, but it is. Yeah. At least seems like it's trying to explain how this stuff works. But it's really funny and it's really good. So check it out if you haven't. And then I read How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, Volume 2. I read that. And then Silksong. I finished Act 1. I believe there's 3 acts. It is very much a get good if you want to finish this game. It does not hold your hand at all.
Yeah.
It's definitely one where there are patterns to everything. And if you can see the patterns, you'll do fine. But get good. And that's the only way to get better, is to get good. There's little tricks and things you can do, but there's no shortcuts. You can't just power yourself up like an Elden Ring. You could just go farm stuff other places, get yourself stronger.
Do a bunch of side quests, get a bunch of superpowered stuff.
Yeah. But this is, unless you know the shortcuts to kind of skip parts, if you just play it normally, it's like, get better. Just try harder. Or go do something else. Learn how to play the game differently, and try again. Like, because there's other ways to kind of change your playstyle, and maybe certain ways don't work well with others and things like that. But it's one of those, you're going to have to do it eventually, especially to get to the end of Act 1. Because that fight is cool, but yeah, it's a pain. But it's definitely, even just to Act 1,
Yeah.
I don't know if it is bigger, but it definitely feels bigger than Hollow Knight. And the world feels more alive than Hollow Knight. Because Hollow Knight, when your character gets there, most of it is dead or contaminated. But this has there's a lot more hubs. There's definitely a few hub cities I've already gotten to where there's other characters you can talk to.
Okay.
Not just weird, crazy people in random little caves, but there's actually like a town where you can go talk to them. And then every now and then something happens in the town. Like, this completely changed what I was expecting. Like, one of the towns I went in got attacked.
Oh.
So it's like, what? I'm like, what just happened? Why is he dead? I was just talking to him. But yeah, so it feels more alive than Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight felt very static. This one feels a lot more like, I know it's kind of faking it, but it's more a dynamic world where things you do actually can change how the world is.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't finished it. I'm partway through Act 2. I know what I have to do to get to the end of Act 2. I just haven't done it yet. But I like this. I think the story makes a little more sense in Silksong than Hollow Knight, because Hollow Knight is very, you have to really pay attention to really understand what the background story is of what's going on.
It's more Dark Soulsy, where it's not going to be spelled out for you. You have to be watching what's going on. You have to be looking around. You have to be seeing where things are.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to really dig into what's the environmental storytelling. Where this one, there is a lot of environmental storytelling, and I've most likely missed a bunch of it. But there's a lot more, because of the way this area is, there's a lot more stuff written down and things like that, where you can bring artifacts you find and someone will give you the history about them. So it's...
Okay.
It kind of... I'm still not at the end, so I have no idea how it's actually going to end yet, but it seems like it's trying to be better at storytelling and not just... You're just playing a game and there's some story. It's like, this one has a story. And you're also playing it too. So, it's good. I like it. It's very just hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
And I do suggest playing Hollow Knight first, because a lot of what happens in Hollow Knight is relevant to what happens in Silksong.
Okay.
So, just FYI. Or just watch one of the YouTube videos that gives you the summary of the story.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
But probably play it anyway so you can get good at that and then maybe be slightly better at Silksong.
Yes.
But not really.
Yeah, so if you play Hollow Knight, you will definitely have a leg up on someone just coming in blind.
Okay.
But it's still different because you're playing a much more dynamic character than the Hollow Knight. But yeah. No, it's good. I recommend it.
Cool.
But that's it for me.
Very nice. Well, if anybody out there listening would like to recommend stuff for us to be checking out and reading, because I clearly have not been reading enough. I've only read a handful of chapters and a book. I clearly need more.
Yes.
Feel free to drop something you want to recommend to us to check out in the comments. We're always looking for new stuff.
Cool. Yes. Let us know.
So for our main topic today, we're going to be talking about the series How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. We're going to be talking about the light novel, Volume 1, and the manga, Volumes 1 and 2. They cover almost entirely the same thing. There's a small part in Volume 2 that shows up in a later book. I believe it's in Volume 2. There's a single scene from it that they sort of pulled forward. And there's a bunch of things that are mentioned in the light novel, which I'm going to specifically talk about, that aren't brought up in the manga. But they're generally covering the same major points. So either one, if you want to read them, will cover the same basic plot points, but we're going to be talking about both. I'm mostly, though, going to be talking about it from the light novel perspective. I know you've only read the manga.
Yes.
And not the light novel. There's not a ton of huge differences, though, so the general story plot is the same.
Cool.
I'm going to do the same thing I always do and say, by the way, no matter how I sound on the rest of this, I really like this series. That probably won't be hard, though, because this is one of my favorite series. I really like this. So, if I sound like I don't, I'm not saying it that way.
Okay.
But I've been rereading it for the episode, and I reread it earlier this year, and because Volume 19 came out, Volume 20, which is the final book in the main series, I believe there's a side story book that may also exist. Maybe will come out at some point, but the last of the light novels, Volume 20, is coming out in America in December. I think it came out last year in Japan. The manga is still ongoing. They're currently up to 11 or 12, I believe, which is not that deep. I think it's around book 7 of the light novels. Technically, this will be the last minor thing I will point out. Yes, it is up to volume 12. Technically, the title changes around book 5 in Japan because it's no longer books 1 to 4 is him rebuilding the kingdom, and then afterwards, technically it changes, but in English it never changes. The manga in English never changes. I don't know if the name actually changes in Japanese. That might have just been something the light novel, the web novel version of it did. But
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, the first 4 books is about him rebuilding the kingdom, and then the books 5 to 20 are him running the kingdom, basically.
Oh, so this started as a web novel?
Yes, this did start as a web novel, and it went for a while, and he talks about it a bit, but it was a web novel first, then it became a light novel, then it became a manga. I believe there's also an anime. I don't know anything about it, but I believe it exists.
Okay.
And there is an anime, yes. It looks like there's 2 seasons? I don't know. So I don't know. It exists. I haven't watched it. I know nothing about it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore after that. But hey, anime lover people, you can go watch it. So, the high-level summary of the series is Japanese person summoned to another world through a hero summoning ritual and ends up becoming the king of this kingdom and basically runs the kingdom. That's the high-level plot of the story. But what I want to talk about, which is something that I think is really interesting about this, we've talked about a few other series that do this really well, but there are a lot of characters in this series. A lot. And when I was rereading for this, I'm like, I wonder how many named characters there are in this. So I wrote down all of them. There are, depending on how you count, because I don't know how much his grandmother actually shows up, there's between 40 and 42 characters in this first book who are named.
I don't remember him having a grandmother.
His grandmother exists. I don't know if they ever actually talk about... So, the main character's grandmother and grandfather are very important to who he is, but his grandmother died first, so most of his memories of his life in Japan just before he went over was him and his grandfather.
Yes.
Because his parents died when he was young-ish, and so he was raised by his grandparents, and his grandmother died. Then a couple years after that, after he had gotten into college, his grandfather died, and then about a year after that, he gets transported to this other world. But I counted it up. The way I'm counting it, I've got 41 characters in this first book who exist. 4 of them are minor characters. One of them is actually not a character, but is a code name for a different character. One of them is not a character, but is a thing that exists. 9 of them don't do anything in this book, but are mentioned. 3 of them are literally just plot hooks for book 2.
Okay.
And 8 of them don't show up in the manga.
Really?
Yes. 8 of the character, 8 of all of that group, 8 of them don't actually show up in the manga. And so I decided I'm just going to go through them all because I think that's an interesting way to talk about this series because it has so many characters who constantly come back, who are constantly involved in things. And I bring this up because there's a couple that I'm going to stop on and be like, hey, by the way, these are characters. And it's like, oh, this is book 1. These people don't show up until book 4, but they're brought up in book 1 and they're here. And some of these other characters, like, they're here. They're not important until book 4 and book 13, but they pop in and out a bunch of times. So, that's how I want to talk about this series, because I think that's something it does well. And the other thing about these characters is they're not unique entirely, but they do stand out from each other.
Yes.
And it's very clear who they are. So, even though there's all these characters and all these names, and the manga, for the ones who do show up, does a very good job at making them all very visually distinct.
Yep.
You see a character and you see their face and you see what they're doing. It's like, oh, I know who that is. Maybe you don't know everything about them, but that's who this is. That's who that is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Everyone is very unique in their design. I think the one who has the least unique design is the main character.
Yeah, he's a black-haired Japanese guy in his 20s.
Yeah.
And it's set in, hey, medieval fantasy, magic world, Europe type thing.
Yeah, so starting out is generic everyman.
Soma Kazuya. No, not generic everyman. He is a
That's
very
true.
specific person. I think that's the other thing about this. So the main character is Soma Kazuya, and this, on purpose, is not... His last name is Soma, his first name is Kazuya, because that actually comes up later. Mm-hmm. Everyone calls him Soma, even though his first name's actually Kazuya. And there's a bunch of random jokes with him, like, oh wait, actually my name is Kazuya, not Soma. Oh crap, I've screwed this up. Everyone's going to call me Soma for the rest of my life. And there's some also cute moments with that later on in the series as well. Much later on, too, it even keeps coming back up. But he is a 20-year-old Japanese college student studying history and sociopolitics and things of that nature with a focus on history and international politics.
Yep.
And his favorite author is Machiavelli. And that will come up so much. But he loves Machiavelli.
Yeah.
He constantly references him. He does reference a lot of other historical events, which sort of guides the policies he does. So you'll see that come up a lot. But he is, as the title suggests, a realist trying to organize things and do things right by this kingdom, being a person from the future who's also seen all these political things and has studied all of these things.
Well, so it's not the future. It is a different world.
It is a different world, but like
Yeah.
modern thing versus medieval stuff, and yes, future, past, etc., etc. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
People who don't know, you don't know. People who do know, we're not talking about that right now. The second character is his grandfather and technically his grandmother. His grandfather is the one who shows up, but just vaguely in his memories, who raised him, like I said before. And then he gets summoned to this other world, and we meet our next two characters, King Albert Elfrieden and Queen Alicia Elfrieden, the king and queen of the country of Elfrieden, who has the hero summoning ritual that summoned him to this other world.
Yep.
And you don't learn very much about the queen, although she is there. But King Albert Elfrieden is a lovable buffoon. He's not a joke. He's just... He's a nice guy.
Yeah, but he's in over his head, it seems like.
He's way over his head.
Yeah.
And that will keep coming up later in the story. You'll learn more about his past. But there's the king and the queen. And then there's, of course, Prime Minister Marx, who's decent. He's interesting. He's a small character. He doesn't show up much in the books. He's probably the smallest of these characters so far, other than the grandparents. And then you have Alicia Elfrieden, the princess. Hey, guess what? Princess of the kingdom that he's now the king of is going to be really important.
You don't say.
Alicia is the princess, the only daughter of the king and the queen, who is betrothed to Soma when the king abdicates and gives Soma the kingship. And she went to military academy, uses a lot of ice magic, but she is now the princess. And she will be the stand-in foil of a person who believes in noble obligation and doing right by her people, but not knowing the kinds of stuff that Soma knows that will help fix this kingdom.
Yeah.
So she kind of gets dunked on a lot in this first book for not knowing about certain stuff.
Yeah, she asks a lot of questions.
Asks a lot of questions, doesn't know about what's going on, etc., etc.
Yep, but she also supports him quite a bit as the story goes on.
I was thinking about just going through all the characters, but I think going through a little bit more of the plot, like I said. He gets summoned, he talks to the king, and what's been going on in this world is, and this is another part that the story does really well, like half of the countries in this continent, which is going to be the whole world of the story, you do hear about during the course of this. The world is very fleshed out right from the beginning. The characters are very fleshed out right from the beginning. The situation is very well fleshed out. Hey, guess what? Demon Lord invaded, took over the northern half of this kingdom, has destroyed a bunch of countries. Refugees are everywhere. Everything's falling apart. And another country, the Grand Chaos Empire, is trying to keep humanity from crumbling under the demon lord and all the monsters that are attacking from the north.
Yeah, because the demon lord and this other country are constantly at war with each other.
Yes.
This chaos country is the one that's holding everything back from flooding into everybody else.
They are the most powerful country left, and were the most powerful for a long time, even before that.
Yep.
So they're basically like, we're in charge, shut up and do what we say.
Which means give us money.
Give us money, and we're holding the line here, or we're funding the people holding the line over there.
Yeah.
Elfrieden, the country, is actually buffered from it. There's a bunch of countries north between them and the Demon Lord's domain, so they're sort of safe. But they're broke as shit. Everything has been falling apart. They're taking refugees. They're trying to do what they can, but they have no money. There's a famine going on. Everything's falling apart. And so instead of, which Soma immediately realized, instead of paying what they owe to the Grand Chaos Empire, the Empire is like, okay, do your hero summoning ritual that only you have.
Yes.
And so they summon Soma. And Soma's like, hey, maybe don't just give me to them. So he and the king and the prime minister, they spend a bunch of days talking about this. And Soma's like, okay, I think I figured out a way to do this. And the king was like, you know what? I've made a decision too. I quit. Soma's king now.
And this was a complete surprise too. He's like,
yeah.
what?
So it was like, what? What? What do you mean? What do you mean I'm king? It's like, oh, also, to make it official, my daughter will marry him. Bye.
It's like, and peace.
What? And there's a great scene. This is when you first meet Licia, and she, like, comes riding in on a horse and is like, oh my god, please let my parents be okay. Runs, bursts into the room, and is like, Mom, Dad, are you okay? And they're, like, the king and queen are just, like, feeding each other, like, cakes and things that they've been getting
just
from
hanging
people.
out.
And they're just hanging out in the apartment. It's like, oh, welcome back, Licia. How are you doing? It's like, what do you mean, how am I doing? I heard that the kingdom had been taken over. I'm like, oh, no, I gave him the throne. What do you mean you gave him the throne? Why do I have to marry him? And it's like, look, just go talk to him, go see him. And Licia goes to find Soma, and they go to the government affairs office, and it's literally pandemonium.
Yep.
Everybody's running around. There's stacks of paperwork everywhere. Licia opens the door and walks in, and Soma, like, not even looking, just raises his hand over the pile of paper, like, you, person who entered, I can't see you. Can you read and do math? Good. Sit down. Start reading these. Check for fraud. And it's a bunch of really funny scenes with that, but eventually Soma realizes, oh, this is the princess. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And they sort of have the talk, and it's, oh, you know, sorry, Licia's like, I'm sorry that we, like, summoned you against your will. I mean, I guess that's sort of unfair. Hopefully we can find the money to, like, pay the tribute to the Empire so that you don't have to be given up. It's like, oh, no, I already found all that money a long time ago.
Way past that.
Way past that. Now I'm trying to figure out how to pay for all my reforms. Like,
Trying to fix the country.
Okay. And so they spend, like, days doing that, and then they go out to the fields, and there's this nice scene of, like, where Licia's, like, taking him out on a horse, and it's, like, the early morning light, and they go out, and it's like, oh, go out to the fields and see all the dew, and it's like, yeah, this is another world. Also, this is why everyone's dying.
Yeah.
What? It's like,
He's
look
very
at these
straightforward.
fields. Soma is good at making a statement and throwing stuff into people's faces to make them understand.
Yeah.
So they go out on this early morning ride out to the fields, and it's like, yeah, by the way, these are all the cotton fields. This is destroying all of our food industry because everyone's growing cotton and no one's growing food.
Yeah, they're growing cash crops instead of food crops because they're trying to make money, but you can't eat cotton. So
you can't eat cotton. Well, you can, but you won't like it.
Yeah, you won't like it, yeah. But one thing we want to talk about, though, before we keep going, because the next part is very important. Because he was summoned and there is magic, he does have a power. And it is the power of poltergeist. So what he does is he can put his spirit into objects. And the first time you see him use it is to fill out paperwork.
Yes. haha, now I can do 3 times as much paperwork as normal.
Yeah.
And I can split my mind and I can see from overhead so I can see what I'm signing.
Yeah.
The manga does it really well where he just like pulls out 3 quill pens and like, haha, activate. And they just float over to the other things.
And he just watches them all just write out all the paperwork. He's like,
And then
okay.
he continues, then he's like, okay, now I have to keep doing it myself too.
Yeah.
That is,
yes.
that is a big part of this first part of the novel, but it's always been a thing of just, there's a lot of paperwork to do. There's a lot of documents to do. There's a lot of administrative work. It's very much an administrative series. It doesn't sit and be like, oh, well, these are the forms he's filling out, but it's a series about running a country, not being a hero, not winning wars, not discovering ancient magic. Not that those things don't happen, but it's played to be from the point of view of someone who is an administrator.
Yep.
And I think the other thing that's important, because it's a couple of things that the series does well where it brings something up, is when they summoned a hero, the hero is specifically a person who will bring a change in the era, is the definition of the hero summoning hero. And it's like, okay, that's vague, but also it doesn't mean that they're going to be a great fighter, so I guess that's okay. I guess this sort of still makes sense, but it's weird. But that's the beginning.
Yes.
Then we get our next huge character dump.
Yep.
In 2 parts. The first is the preparation for a massive recruitment drive, and then the massive recruitment drive. And so we start off with Sir Ludwin Arx, leader of the Forbidden Army, the personal army owned under the control of the king, which protects him and the capital city of Parnum, in the cafeteria because they're trying to save money.
Yep.
And
so everyone eats at the cafeteria now.
And yeah, Arx is like the ultimate pretty boy wonder kid who's a very nice and generous person. Like, he's the pretty boy stereotype, but the nice one, not the super proud guy. He's a very interesting character as the story goes on. He comes up a lot, obviously, as the head of the king's personal part of the army.
Yeah, I don't know if he has a huge part in this book yet.
He's part of it, especially in this part until Soma gets his actual bodyguard, because he is his bodyguard until that character shows up.
That's true. Yeah.
You also learn more about the way the military is structured. There are the 3 dukes of the kingdom, because Elfrieden is this complicated country. Yep. And so there are 3 dukedoms who control the rest of the military. You have General and Duke Georg Carmine, a lion beastman who controls the land forces. The Admirable Duchess XL Walter, a member of the Sea Serpent race, who obviously leads the Navy. And the General Duke Castor Vargas, a dragon newt, which is basically like a kind of half dragon. They look human, but they have horns and wings and a lizard tail, who leads the Air Force, because they have an Air Force in this. Technology's weird.
Yes, even
But
Soma
hey,
says that.
Yeah. It comes up a lot where it's like they have magic to do stuff. So, like, a great example they have is their naval ships. They have giant destroyer-class naval ships. You don't really see it in this first book, but they talk about it. And it's like, how do they have that when they don't have, like, the combustion engine or anything? It's like, oh, magic. They use magic to just move the material into place.
I thought it was that they have the ships, but then they're pulled by sea monsters.
Yeah, they don't have the engines to run them, so they have sea monsters to pull them. But it's also like, how would you construct that? It's like, oh, earth magic lets me lift these giant iron plates into position, and then people can nail them down.
Yeah.
It's like all these random technologies are just replaced with magic, and so they just don't have them.
Yeah, and then they said that they have cannons on the ships, but they don't use them anywhere else because magic is more powerful except over the ocean. So over the ocean they use cannons, but everywhere else they just smash things with magic.
Yep. Like I said, the world is really detailed in this, even in this first book.
Yeah.
And all of that will come up.
Mm-hmm.
All of it. There's also unnamed mad scientist because, yes, they have one of those.
I don't remember him or her.
This is one of the characters who do nothing but is just mentioned.
Okay.
This character will come back and will be incredibly important. But yeah, they're literally an offhanded comment by Ludwig while they're eating in the cafeteria that, oh yeah, we have a mad scientist in the Forbidden Army too. At some point I should introduce you to her. So that's all you know about this character. And in 3 to 5 books, she will show up and will be part of the rest of the series. But hey, by the way, reminder to me too, she's mentioned in this first book. There are characters that are coming up that's like, wait, they were mentioned here? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
At this point, the 3 dukes are basically not doing anything, but are kind of watching what's happening. So they're not following what Soma is asking, but they're not getting involved in anything. That's where we sort of hear about them. But right now, Soma just needs more people to help because it's basically him, Licia, and Ludwig. So he's like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use our giant magical dual voice broadcast system to send out a recruitment drive and basically say, hey, everybody out there, if there's something you're really good at, that you're better than anyone else, come to the capital. If you are that good, I'll give you money. Whatever it is, I don't care. Show up.
And if it's something I really need, then even better.
And even if it's something I don't need, if you really are the best at it, I'll give you a cash prize, and the kingdom itself will give you a notice saying you are the best at this.
Yeah.
But also, like, I need talented people with lots of good things. I do not care what it is. Don't worry whatever it is, just show up. And so there's a big scene and all this happens and a bunch of stuff goes on. For certain things, there's a bunch of competitions. There's a martial arts tournament. There's a singing competition. There's a bunch of stuff like that. You don't see that in this book, but they talk about it. And that's where we get the 5 exceptional people. That is the next section of the story, which is, hey, guess what? More characters.
Yes.
We get Aisha Utgard, the dark elf from the God-protected forest.
Yep.
Who at first is like, I don't bow to other kings because that's the way my people work. And someone's like, yeah, it's fine. I don't care. I'm just acting.
Just a guy.
I don't, like, I'm technically the king, but it's like, whatever. In a couple of years, I'm going to just give this up. And she wants them to stop poachers and things going into the forest. And someone's like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And hey, what about like trading stuff? Do you guys trade wood? And it's like, what do you mean? Why would we cut down trees in the forest? Like, well, you know, if you don't cut down any trees in a forest, like there's going to be all these problems. That's why people do periodic thinning. Call back to the opening of the episode. What? What is this periodic thinning? Oh, it's the thing where you like cut down trees so that like the forest grows healthy and they don't all grow poorly and you don't have lots of landslides. And I was just like, oh my God, that's everything terrible that's happening. Oh my God, I'll serve you forever, Soma. And Aisha loses all of her seriousness for the entire rest of the series except in combat, because she is literally the most powerful single person in this series.
Wow. Okay.
I think well, maybe not the most, but top 3.
Okay. Yep.
The top characters I don't think ever have a pure one-on-one fight to the death, but she is probably one of the strongest characters in the series. And any sense of somberness will soon be completely lost because she's also a glutton and just constantly eats food and is hilarious with it. Yep. And she asks someone to come to the forest because that is happening. The forest is kind of dying where the trees are just not growing well anymore. And the landslides are starting to happen and things are going on. And so she basically pledges herself to work for Soma forever.
Yes.
And she becomes his bodyguard, and sort of Ludwig gets relegated slightly further back 1 chapter after he shows up. Then you have Hakia Kwanmin. He becomes the prime minister. We're going to skip his whole twist because he becomes the prime minister. Prime Minister Marks becomes the chamberlain, and Hakia becomes the prime minister because he's super duper ultra smart.
Yep. He doesn't show up a lot in this book.
He will show up. He will become one of the most common characters in the series.
Yeah, I could see that. But at least in this volume, like, they introduce him, they say why he's so unique, but he's
always there, though, in the background. He's just not the main character of a scene. He's just involved in it. And he's a person who knows almost everything and is constantly planning and coming up with ideas. So he's always that, like, background person, like, nudging things along. And you do sort of see this.
Yep.
Then you have Junadoma. Hey, remember how we mentioned idol groups? Guess what? Here's the person who's super good at singing and dancing.
Yep.
She's really good at singing and dancing.
So she becomes the idol of the country.
Yes. More than you would think. More so in the future. But yes, that is, at this point, that is what she becomes. Then you have Tomoe Inui, who is of the Mystic Fox. No, not the Mystic Fox. Mystic Wolves
Mystic
race.
Wolf, yeah. Yep.
Yes. She's like a 6-year-old wolf girl.
Yep.
Wolf ears and a tail. And her ability is she can talk to animals. And we're going to skip over the part that's the actual important thing of the story and jump onto our 5th character because we're already here.
Before we move on, it is important to note that she is a refugee. So she's from this country.
She is a refugee. All of the Mystic Wolf people are refugees. They are from northern part. I don't know how much it's explained, but they're from a part that was completely erased by the demon incursion. Beyond the countries that are still around, back in the no man's land that's been destroyed entirely by them. And then our 5th character is Poncho Ishizuka Panakata, the big chubby dude who's eating food everywhere and is another one of the goofy characters who will just be such a integral part of the story and was the entire purpose of this.
Yep.
Because he has literally made it his life to go around and eat, and someone's like, yes, you're going to save this country because you've eaten everything. You know what there is that we can eat so that we can get out of this food crisis.
And Toma is like, what? It's like, because Soma's like, slaps him on his side. It's like, you are the exact person I wanted this whole thing for. He's like, you're going to save everything, as you're saying. He's like, what?
Yeah. He starts to step forward, and like everyone around is sort of giggling at him.
Yeah, because he falls over.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, and Marx is there reading. He's like, this man has the greatest appetite in the country. And someone just jumps out of there. It's like, yes! It's like that SpongeBob meme where he's like in the stand just screaming at him like, yes! He runs up shaking his head like, oh my god, you showed up. Oh, thank God. This is the exact person I was hoping for. And it's like, oh, okay. We'll get to that part of the story of him solving the food crisis because that's the next part that shows up. But that is the 5 amazing people. Hakuya becomes the prime minister soon after that. And just before that, there was one other thing that Tomoe talked about, which was a secret that they kept from the broadcast. So yeah, this is also being broadcast across the entire country. So everyone sees Soma jump up and like, yeah, chubby dude, you're what we needed. And it's a great scene. It's very funny. It's hinted at a lot. And just to cover this really quickly, he gives him the name Ishizuka specifically because he's the person that he wanted so much. And this story does a lot of talking about how the language and the culture of the world is changing because of Soma. And there's like this story where it's like, I don't know how much it comes up in the manga, but in the book, there's like 5 or 6 paragraphs where they talk about years after this thing was re-dramatized over and over again. And there was actually a common phrase that became parlance where people will, thinking back on this, and they'll say, start with Ishizuka, meaning to start from the simplest thing because of this. And that's the thing that the light novel does really well, of just talking about how the culture of this country changes over the years and years and years because of what Soma does. They
do mention it, that this is one of the turning points that kind of changes the course of the country. But yeah, it's like, okay, some big things are happening right now.
Yeah. And the little thing that we skipped over with Tomoe is, so while they're doing this broadcast, she explains something secretly to Soma, and he's like, wow, I'm tired. Hey, Juna, could you sing for, I don't know, 30 minutes while we take a break? Okay, good. Everybody get out of the... Everybody else, like, come this way. Come with me. And so they go in, and turns out Tomoe can also talk to demons. And hey, new character, Mr. Kobold.
Yeah. I'm not sure he counts as a character.
Oh, yes, he does.
Well, okay, so in the first book, he doesn't count as a character.
He is named Mr. Kobold. He will come back. He is not just some random character. He's a specific person with a specific name who is integral to a part of the story later on. That specific one. He's probably the least specific of a lot of these.
Yes.
Where he's more of just a name, but he exists. And it was... Tomoe talked to demons, and everyone's like, you can't talk to monsters, you can't talk to demons. Like, she can. She had a conversation with them, and it's like, okay, we need to be careful, because being able to talk to them means we could have diplomacy, but hiding this means we could be considered either heretics or terrible, terrible people. So we've got to be very careful on this.
Yes.
But yes, Mr. Kobold is a character.
That is funny.
He will come back. He is, I think, the longest one between appearing in this first book and actually showing up again in the series.
Okay.
I think he shows up in like book 14. But no, specifically, Mr. Kobold comes back and is a part of the series.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the recruitment. We get the 5 exceptional wolves ones, the mystic wolves, and the refugees, and Poncho, and Hakuya, the Black Robe Prime Minister, because Marx realizes he's way smarter than he is, so he becomes Prime Minister. Like, make him your Prime Minister instead. Like, get rid of me. So
Yeah.
Hakuya becomes that. All of that happens, and we get to...
Then it's time for cooking show.
Then it's time for the cooking show. Yes, the King's Brunch.
Yeah.
They host another Jewel Voice broadcast program. I think this is his 3rd now.
Yes.
Poncho goes out, gets a bunch of stuff, and they just all cook it. And most of it is stuff for, like, Soma. He's just like, oh, yeah, this is all normal. And then, like, everyone else freaks out except for one person who's like, oh, yeah, that's normal, too.
Yeah.
And they make it they make it the Japanese cooking show where everybody tries weird food.
Yeah. The whole point of all of this for Poncho and the cooking show is that, so they have some food, but they don't have enough food. So the idea is, okay.
And they don't have the money to buy it.
Right. That's the big thing. There's not enough money to trade. We're not growing enough yet. The idea is to grow more, and eventually we won't have to worry about this. But then there's so many things out there that just exist that people don't eat, but are they edible? Because one of the things they show is like an octopus. There are octopus everywhere, but nobody eats them because it's just not what they do. But the cooking show, except for Soma.
Everyone's like, it's an octopus. And I was like, oh, that sounds tasty.
Yeah. So the idea is find ingredients that people don't normally eat to then eat them to as a stopgap until the regular food crops can really take over to be more. Or maybe you don't need as much because now you have other things you can eat. That's the whole point of having Poncho show up.
Yeah.
And it's done really well with the cooking show.
There's a bunch of different ingredients. There's the octopus, then there's a bunch of root vegetables.
There's the jelly.
There's the slime gel. They're called gellins, but yeah, like the gellins. It's like, wait, you can't have a gel corpse. When you kill it, it splatters everywhere. And it's like, oh, there's a secret way to kill the core without getting rid of it. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Eating slime, eating gellins will become a major part of this series.
Yeah, and then the bugs and rice and all kinds of stuff.
But there's 2 really nice scenes. The first, the funny one. The last one is these sort of locusts.
Yep.
And again, every time everyone freaks out except for Poncho, Soma, and one other character. And this time it's Tomoe. It's like, oh yeah, we eat these all the time. Mm-hmm. And someone's like, wait a minute, this color, this is strange. And he eats it. It's like, this was made with soy sauce. Oh, you mean Hisio water? It's like, what? Tomoe was like, yeah, Hisio water. It's made by fermenting these beans. And then you can also take this and make Hisio paste. You mean miso.
Yeah.
Yeah, we grow it with this grass thing that grows, and we grow them in like these flooded ponds. He's like, yes, Japanese food. I've decided the Mystic Wolves will get a monopoly on making this for 5 years. We'll build them a district. I want Japanese food, but I'll do this to like actually give them an opportunity. And then the Mystic Wolf Kikkoman label.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it shows up in the manga, but they describe it in the book, and it's literally the Kikkoman soy sauce label with a Mystic Wolf head in the middle.
Yeah, they don't really.
That literally
do
becomes their symbol for the rest of the series. It's just the Kikkoman sauce label. It's like, oh god. So that's the funny one. But there's a great speech at the start of it where Soma is like, everybody, the whole point of this is don't die.
Yes. Yep.
We're doing all of this. This is all the plans. This is what we're working on. Please
just hang on.
Survive.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. Don't fight. Don't kill each other. Don't abandon people. Everybody survive until fall when the harvest comes in. Please. And there's a bunch of, in the manga and in the book, there's a bunch of talk about like, is he abdicating responsibility and things like that, and sort of like trying to explain it and doing all these things. And it's that, how does a person lead in these trying times? And Soma is a very particular kind of leader and leads in a very particular kind of way. And it's like, okay, this is him being in charge in a really interesting way. He's also doing this still wearing his like shirt and pants from college.
Yep.
The whole time. He's never like dresses up or anything. He's just wandering around. He looks even more super ordinary in the manga. But he's just like, yeah, it's just got a button-down shirt and slacks. And like, yep, that's me, the king, provisional.
I think that does change, though.
It does eventually change, but not in the first book or two.
Yeah.
Because eventually the clothes wear out.
Yes.
Then there's gonna be a couple of other stuff, and we're gonna get to that. But this is when we get a bunch of the minor characters that don't show up in the manga. This is the most characters that don't show up in the manga before the very, very end. And the first one is the most important one, and I'm so mad that she's not included, and that is the head maid Serena.
Nope.
Who is the head maid, who is Princess Lycia's personal maid, and likes to bully girls. She just likes to mess with them and make them super embarrassed and tease them mercilessly. And as a character, I don't really like her, but she's really important. And she doesn't show up. She has a whole intermission in the middle of this book.
Nope.
Where she finds Poncho making soup stock to make ramen. And it's like this weird, goofy ghost story going on in the castle. And so she goes and finds out and then starts joining him in the middle of the night. And they're like, Serena and Poncho are just laughing in the darkness, like, soup stock. But yeah, she'll show up, I think, in like book 3 or 4 of the manga. All these little characters are just here. And they're mentioned, and they're brought up, and they exist, and they're important. And I think that's a big strength of this story, is its characters, and that they're just always here, and they flow in and out, and they show up, and they're not forgotten. To be fair, of the characters to be left out, this is probably the easiest one you could left out. But you brought up the mad scientist. You could have at least put Serena in the background once.
Yeah, I have no idea who you're talking about.
That's fine. A couple other ones who get mentioned around this time. You have the mother dragon of the Star Dragon Mountain Range. I don't think they say her name, but her name is Tiamat because, of course. But the leader of the dragons is brought up. There's a set of dragon bones that were found underneath the castle in the tunnels that then disappear. I'm sure that won't come up. And then the other thing, and this is the characters that I wanted to just point out. I did not realize they were in the first book. But Soma mentions the 2 doctors, the 2 medical doctors. They don't show up for several more books. I think it's like either book 3 or 4. They actually show up, but they're brought up here. I know exactly who these 2 are. And there's just a casual line dropping like, oh, hey, yeah, the 2 doctors. Yep. Oh, right. That's another thing about the series is you come back and you read through it again and you start seeing all of these points that are very important later on were seeded right from the beginning. And this is probably the thing that's the best about the series, that in the first book just doesn't exist because it's the first book. But all of the plots, all of the plans, all of the events, all of the schemes, all of the things that happen are seeded novels before they actually come up. All these different things are talked about well in advance, just enough that it's always there. In the first book, a lot of these don't come to pass because it's the first book. They're just like, they bring up the thing and then they do it. The two doctors, I completely forgot that they exist in this one line because they're kind of just like, okay, there's doctors. All right. But they're really important. And they keep showing up all the way up to book 19 once they finally show up for real. But that's a little intermission of a couple characters that just get brought up in conversation. And then we get back to the story, and the food crisis is starting to get better. It's been about, I think it's been like a month or two. And Soma is ordered to go and take time off because everyone else is so tired, because everyone is so busy, because he's constantly working. So they make him take a day off to let everyone else take a day off.
So this slightly differs in the manga because after the cooking show, there's another scene with, what's his name? The Prime Minister guy.
Hakuya.
Hakuya. Yeah, there's another scene with Hakuya about planning of the other countries are positioning themselves to potentially invade. And this is where he talks more about Machiavelli and things like that.
Yep.
But it's very much a, we're not going to tell you what's going on, hint, this is going to come up later kind of thing. And this is when the first manga volume ends.
Yeah.
And then there's a little side story of him at school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene is in the book too. Mm-hmm. I don't remember exactly where it is, but there are scenes of that. And the key phrases are, if we're going to do it, let it be in one stroke. That's what Machiavelli said.
Yep.
The pieces are in place, and I believe this will complete the task that you've set out before. And things like that, where it's like very clearly they're talking around this secret super plan that they have.
Yeah, and most likely if you knew Machiavelli, you would know what they're talking about. But it was also Hakuya had predicted all of this was going to happen already. And then they're just going to do the plan Soma has come up with.
I think in the light novel, this scene is more towards the end, around the last scene of the second book. Those two are much closer together, where we'll ultimately find out one of the neighboring countries may be trying to help the other militaries that haven't fallen under Soma's control in Elfrieden revolt, but also maybe are invading, and a bunch of other stuff. And that's where the scene in the book shows up, but it kind of fits here as just like, hey, this is also going on in the background.
Yeah. So when I first read this was an interesting way for me to end the book, but then nothing happens with it again until the end of book 2. So it's kind of like, this probably would have made more sense at the end of book 2 when they're talking about everything that they're talking about at the beginning of this. It's like, okay. And then they have this scene where they're talking about in cryptic tones about these people are poised to invade. And then a few weeks later, we don't care until later in the story.
I agree that would be annoying.
Yeah.
However, knowing what they're actually knowing the specifics of what they're talking about, I literally can't explain anything about that without spoiling things.
Okay.
Because there's more layers than it seems like there are. That's the sort of thing that what I was talking about before, where this book seeds things a lot. And I think if you knew Machiavelli exactly and you knew the part that they're referencing, then you might know what they're actually deeply talking about. But it's not just the countries invading. That's already probably spoilers for some of what it is. There's so much more to that and what's going on. They're not talking about one plan. They're talking about like 7 plans.
Okay. That
are all interconnected.
Yeah, so it makes more sense if you actually know what's going on, but when I read it, I had no idea. So it's like, okay, it sounds like something's going to happen immediately, but then nothing happens.
Yeah, and in the novel, it's sort of at the end of the book, and you think, oh, this is going to be what happens in the second book. And it's like, nope, no, it doesn't. It's not in the second book.
Okay.
This whole thing, what they're actually talking about is not in the second book, and I can't say any more without doing massive spoilers, but I feel like they did it at the end of that to be like, yeah, this other stuff was sort of moving along and to have a little cliffhanger at the end of book 1. But, yeah, it's not the greatest if you had to actually wait to get the second book. Oh, and then we're going to find out about it. Nope.
Time for a date.
The cliffhanger at the end of book 2, that is what the second book is about. The cliffhanger at the end of book 2 of the manga and the cliffhanger at the end of the first one of the light novel, that is what the second novel is about.
That makes sense.
Their conversation is also about that, but there's more to it. There's more things going on, and so I can't explain any more than that. So that is a valid critique.
Mm-hmm.
In the novel, I don't think it's quite as problematic because it's much closer to the end of the book.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that would make more sense.
It fits the cliffhanger, and it then jumps to the cliffhanger at the end of book 2 of the manga, and all 3 of those scenes sort of run right after another.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, okay, that's what they're talking about. And it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's talking about something else. But you don't know that yet.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so they go on a date.
Sort of.
They basically are forced to go out into town because everyone else is so tired, because Soma's always working, because Soma has so much to do, that they decide, okay, you have to go out of the castle, go into the town, go have fun. And so Alicia and Soma and Aisha, as their bodyguard, all go out into the town.
Yep.
There's a nice little romantic scene with Alicia and Soma, and we haven't really talked about it, but throughout the whole series, like, Alicia is realizes very quickly and realizes more and more, Elfreden's kind of fucked.
The country.
They're really screwed. The country is kind of screwed, and Soma is kind of probably going to fix everything. And Soma's constantly like, yeah, and then once I fix everything, I'm just going to quit, and I'm going to give you the crown, and you can take care of it. And she's like, that would be bad. There's a nice little romantic scene of them being like, well, maybe we shouldn't not get married. And someone's like, well, don't you want to fall in love with someone? I'm like, I could fall in love later. It's okay.
Yes.
And I won't ruin the funny thing that happens at the end, but it's very funny.
Yeah. And this is also where you learn that the queen is the queen and the king married into the queen to be the king. Yeah.
Don't worry. That will not come up again and be a major plot point of a part of the series, where the fact that the king is not where the bloodline comes from. Yep, that's not a huge arc of the story that has massive implications. And yeah, this whole thing where Soma was randomly made into the king, that's not going to come up either again in this story.
Nope, not at all.
I say winking with my entire face. Because all I can tell you, because nothing, for all the stuff that happens in the story, like, none of the really cool plot points happen in the first book. It's all set up for stuff that's going to come in all these other books. But it's like, it's so good. And this first book's fun. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's nice. It's interesting. It's good. But this series is very much a lot of characters and a lot of setup that constantly pays off.
Okay.
This is a weird book to have to talk about, which is why I came up with the fact of, like, let's list every single named character in this entire series.
I think we're about 2/3 through.
We're 2/3 of the way through. Most of the actual narrative is done, and a lot of the characters that come up are not super important, but there are a couple more. So after their sort of romantic talk, they go to the Lorelei Cafe where Juno works.
Yep.
And they meet her. And hey, Jellin Udon is a thing. That's gonna be a thing for the rest of the series. And so I want to take a tiny detour here, because this is another thing about the series that I always think about, and I want your opinion on it.
Okay.
Hey, guess what? This is gonna become a harem series. But they try to justify it here.
Yes.
And they have their very specific thing. And this is also where you find out about the queen is actually the
bloodline.
Bloodline, and the king married into it and was made the king because the queen didn't want the power. She wanted someone else to have it, but she's actually the bloodline.
Yeah, but nothing gets past the queen.
No, that's not true.
What?
The king was in charge.
Yes, but
the queen didn't want it. But he became the king because he married the queen.
Yes, yep.
He himself had no authority. It was because of the queen, and then when she became queen, she made him the king instead of the queen consort.
Yes.
The queen's consort.
Yep.
But they justify it as if a man is powerful enough, he can have multiple wives, assuming he can support them.
Correct.
And they sort of accept it. And there's a funny scene of, like, Lisha's like, yeah, I would be okay with up to 8, because there's 8 days in a week.
Yeah.
I'm going to have you at least for 1 day of the week.
Yep.
And they're all talking. And someone's, like, in the corridor, like, beat red, like, oh my God, please stop talking. I can't handle this right now. Because Juna, Aisha, and Lisha are all there just chatting about this right in front of him. It's like, God, make it stop.
Yeah.
But I wanted your opinion on this.
Okay.
How well do you think this does for, like, explaining this and giving you, like, a justification for that to be a thing?
I think it's one of those things that comes up in so many. It's like, okay, it's most likely going to be that because it's come up in so many other stories. But it's also one of those things.
Yeah.
It makes a little bit of sense based on the world itself.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things. It's like, yeah, they can justify being people who have lots of money can afford it, but then they also say, well, the king only had one because it's the queen. Mm-hmm. But it's actually, at least in this book, they have like 2 pages where they talk about it, and then they move on.
Yeah.
I think it's just setting up that it's going to be that way, and not that it's a surprise. But it is one of those, okay, we're doing this again. It's become one of those fantasy harem kind of thing.
Yeah. So this was, for me, the first time that I had read a series that actually tried to really justify it.
Okay, yep.
And there's a little bit more detail in the novel of, like, okay, well, this is how, like, divorce, like, not much more, like, an extra, like, sentence or two of, like, this is how the society would work this way, this is how it would happen, and, like, well, there's this where, like, people die from these sorts of things, so having multiple wives or something is sort of okay. And women can also do it, assuming that they're powerful enough, and it does happen.
Yeah.
But it was kind of the first one that was actually tried to justify it as part of the culture of the world.
Yep. So Mushoku Tensei does this too, where there's actually so I don't know if you're far enough in the story, but there's a group that is very much, think of like Catholic country where it's like Catholicism. But then there's the rest of the world. So the Catholicism country very much is you marry one person, monogamous, and that's it. And then everyone else is like, okay, yeah, I marry one person, but then it's, I can marry more if I want, but it's kind of, if they want to, it's not like everyone does it. Most people don't, but there's nothing that says you can't.
Yep.
But it's more of that's just how people are. Some have multiple, some don't. It's kind of up to you if you want to or not. But this one seems like this story is much more, this is a thing that people do.
Yes. Because guess what? I will spoil one other thing about this series. If you don't like harems, you're not going to like this, because it's not just Soma who ends up marrying multiple people. A lot of people marry a lot of people.
Okay. Because that is not like a lot of other stories I've read.
Yes.
Where typically the main character's in the harem, but there's no others.
Yeah, no. A lot of people marry multiple people. A lot of people only marry one person. And I know they mentioned that women can have multiple husbands. I don't remember that happening. None of the major characters that happens, which I think is probably the one thing where it's like, that feels like something that maybe should have been a thing to help sell it. The other thing I think that helps it along is there's a lot about succession and kingdoms and diplomacy through marriage that also come, not in this first book, but that comes up in the rest of the series. And it's like, people start sending people to someone like, hey, you should marry this person for diplomacy. And sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. And there's all sorts of different reasons. And it's still going to be a light novel. It's not going to be like backstabbing political intrigue with harem intrigue stories. That this does not do.
Okay.
But there's a little bit more justification with that. I think probably the only thing about this that I think doesn't come off well is there's almost no difficulties between his wives.
Okay.
Which I think is probably the least realistic part about it is Soma ends up marrying a bunch of different people. And there are moments where like one of them is really worried about this or that based with the other wives. But they're all basically extremely supportive of each other all the time about everything. And it's like, okay, I'm not saying people can't get along, but
yeah,
6 or 7 people marrying the same person and all getting along all the time
is unlikely.
Like maybe we could have like one thing,
but
that's the way the story works. The people on his side all work well together.
Yeah, but I think
people who don't work with him are the enemy.
Yeah, but I think that's
ultimately,
also one of the tropes of these kind of harem stories where everyone gets along, so we don't have to worry about that part of the story. We're just going to focus on the main character and what he's going to do because that's what people really want. And then you got all the wives and whatever that are there that support them, but they're going to all be nice because they're trying to push him to be better.
Yeah, and I think that's another big part of it. And I think the other thing that this series does that others don't is the relationships between all the characters do move forward. You don't get that sort of dramatic, complicated feelings behind with each other than when people are sort of getting brought in or when something major happens in their life and everyone else has to sort of figure out what to do. But everyone's relationship sort of develops, and like Soma and Licia, they don't just, oh, they got married. Like they start becoming a couple. They get married. They have kids. They become part of a family. They have to deal with losing people they care about. You get to see all of that.
Okay.
It has that too, but this is the first sort of hint of that.
Yep.
It will be a thing.
I kind of figured as soon as they hinted at it, it's like, that's what's going to happen.
It's going to be a big thing. They do play with it in all directions where sometimes someone will try to get to marry into the family and it's like, no, not happening. And there'll be times when it's like, hey, why do you want this person to join? It's like, well, okay, here's the political reason A, B, C, and D. It's like, okay, what about the romantic reasons? Well, okay, romantic reasons I have A, B, and C. There's a really good one, which is 7 books later. Not going to talk about it. But it involves the Star Dragon Mountain Range.
Okay, yep.
When they go there. That's a really interesting sort of follow-up to this. And there's a couple others where it's like really interesting, okay, how does this work diplomatically? How does this work romantically? How does this work as people? And they keep poking at these things lightly, but they do talk about them.
Okay.
But anyway, there's the harem talk done for the day.
Yeah, because I've read other ones where they do focus on the intrigue of the harem, but that is the point of the story.
Yeah.
Like there's a new one, Eunuch of Empire, which is about the intrigue in a harem. And the Apothecary Diaries is another one. It's the intrigue of the harem, but that's the point. So I think those ones focus on this, where this one is trying to focus on the country itself. And as you say, they're going to use marriage as a diplomacy tactic, but it'll get too watered down if now there's intrigue between his wives and they all come up with their own little schemes. It's like, this is too much story.
Yeah. The stories to me that's like, make this feel like, okay, I'm okay with this. I think this is, because I think to me it's like, I see it in this story, I'm like, I think this is good. And the way I think of it as good is I'm looking at 2 other series. One is In Another World, My Smartphone.
Yeah.
Where he gets like 9 wives and nothing happens.
Nope.
They get married in like book 17.
Oh, yes.
Of
right.
26. Yep. And like book 18, their children come back from the future. It's like their relationships don't, like, they're there and it's goofy and it's fun and it's silly and it's lighthearted and it's like the classic comedy of like he has a harem of girls but like nothing happens between them. And it's like, that's just stupid. Here, like, stuff happens and things move forward. And then on the opposite end, survival in another world with my mistress.
Oh, yep.
He gets so many girls. It's literally almost uncountable at this point.
Yep.
I've seen the images from what's coming in the next book. 4 more are coming.
Seriously?
And it's like, okay, the fact that no one's tried to, that there's no intrigue, it's just like, yep, he gets another couple of girls. Like, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's
where it's just stupid and funny because it's ridiculous. This is that in between where it's not going to be heavy. It's still a light novel. It's still not super dark or anything.
Yep.
Good will prevail always. But they actually talk about this and deal with this and come at it as a thing that is a part of this society and this sort of level of being a king and doing these things. This is a thing that's happened throughout history and been part of it. And it's like, okay, let's just have that be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about that.
Yeah. That does not come up again for the rest of the book.
It does not come up again for the rest of
This book.
For the rest of this book. Then it comes up a whole lot. While they're at the Lorelei Cafe,
yep.
They overhear Kaede Foxia. Guess what? She's a mystic fox race person. I bet you could have never guessed that. As opposed to a mystic wolf who has wolf ears and tail. Kaede Foxia has mystic fox and has fox ears and tails.
Yep, very different.
And someone's like, what the hell is the difference? Like, they would both be extremely upset if you said that to them. It's like, okay, fair enough. But seriously, what's the difference? And her childhood friend, Halbert Magna, are arguing. Halbert is like, hey, the Duke Georg Carmine is basically not following him. We're going to have a revolution and get rid of the king. He's a bad person. And Kaido's like, stop it. That's stupid. Don't do that. All of the corrupt nobles have gone to him. This is a bad idea. Mm-hmm. Don't go into the revolution. And there's a great scene where, hey, guess what? Soma shows up.
Yeah.
Because he's literally in the restaurant with them. And there's a great moment where, like, Hal is like, who the heck are you? And stands up to hit him. And Licia pulls her sword on him. Judah sneaks behind him, pulls out a fruit knife and holds it against his back. And Aisha grabs him by the face.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't touch the king. And it's like, okay, yeah. I'm going to sit back down now.
It's done really well in the manga, too.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
And then you get to watch someone be like, hey, if you go and revolt, either you die or terrible things happen to Kaede. Aren't you excited about that? And ultimately, they convince Halbert to not try to kill the king. You see him later on. There's a short little scene where he shows up, and I don't know how much it's said in... No, it's in the manga too, where his father, Kaede, and Halbert's father and Halbert and Kaede show up at the king to tell him something, and Halbert's there with just his face beaten in because his father beat the crap out of him for threatening the king, and it's like, I'm so sorry about what my son did. It's like, it's fine. And Halbert just looks up and he just looks like he has like 2 black eyes.
Yeah.
His cheeks are broken, and he's just like, I heard about what I said.
Yeah.
And then there's the secret thing that they don't tell you what they said, and everyone is upset.
Very upset. And
you don't find out what that is. This, I think, is the one I don't like.
Okay.
Where they're seeding something that's going to happen. Both, A, it feels kind of obvious what it is, and B, you could have, knowing what it is, this one you could have told us. They could have just said.
Yeah, because it sounds very upsetting.
Do you have a guess for what it is that Glaive is like, I have something secret to tell you, my king. And then everyone is silent, and you just see shocked faces. And Licia starts to cry.
Yes. So that's how it is in the manga. And
yep. How it is in the book. They don't tell you what he says.
Only thing I can think of is that someone has betrayed them, and most likely it's a family member.
You're thinking too hard.
Okay.
Think of literally the previous scene.
Okay, then it's the Duke Carmine who's betraying them.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. He's preparing to actually revolt.
Which, if you go a few more pages, he says that.
Yes. And it's like, There's a couple of tiny details that I do get why they don't say it now, where it's like, okay, yeah, this kind of comes up. This is kind of something in here that they need to know about that changes things later, that eventually they'll reveal, and it's kind of a nice reveal, but they could have started it with the Duke Gil Carmine is, and then cut it off. Or is planning a revolt and ... gasp, shock,
Yeah.
But they decided not to.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something more than that. It's like, okay, I kind of figured that was going to happen already based on what was already discussed.
Yeah, what happens just before that and what shows up in about 3 chapters. Yeah. That's one where it's like, I don't like this one being so secretive. Especially because in the book, there's like a quarter of the book left. And it's like, okay, we're just going to leave. That one, I think, feels the most like just trying to be dramatic for dramatic's sake. Mm-hmm. There is something that they're not saying yet. Oh, wait. No.
What?
Now I remember why, I think.
Okay.
This might be when they reveal something, and okay, they couldn't have shown it, but I still don't like it, even though I know why they didn't show it, because I feel like that should have... Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like this scene.
Yeah.
I get why it's happening, but... Yeah. And then Kaede, who's part of the Forbidden Army, becomes second in command under Ludwig, and Halbert is assigned to be her adjutant to help her because she's now the second in command. We're going to jump through the next couple of things a little bit quickly. The next big section of the book, Excel, the Admiral, knows a bunch of stuff that's going on, and there's this person called Canaria. That's the code name. You'll find out who it is real soon. Do you have a guess of who the person sending the mysterious intelligence to Excel Waters is?
Let me think. Of course, their name is Canaria.
The Canaria is a complete code name. It has nothing to do with what their actual name is.
Oh, I know. I figured that, but it's most likely...
It is one of the named characters we've seen so far.
If I had to guess, it's probably Hakuya.
I wasn't going to tell you anything, but I will tell you you're wrong.
Okay, that's fine.
But that's okay.
Does it actually
find out in the next book.
Oh, okay.
It becomes a major part of this person's character is that they're extremely closely tied to Excel. And there's a bunch of stuff about this character you didn't know in the first book. It's been hinted at, but no. So anyway, that was that intermission. Excel learns stuff about what's going on in the country.
Yep.
And talks mysteriously to herself. And then makes the letter explode. But hey, one of the things Soma was trying to do was to build a new city. And we get Old Man Urup.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I can't believe I'm saying this. He comes back.
That is
This
funny.
is not his only time. But there's an old man who because they're going to build a new coastal city. He's like, you can't build here. The sea god will be angry.
And everyone's like, what's a sea god?
There's a sea god? I've never heard of a sea god. What do you mean a sea god? Yes, every 100 years it will come and destroy it. And someone's like, wait a minute. Japanese brain working.
Yeah.
Is there an earthquake right before this happens? You know, now that you mention it, okay, it's a tsunami.
Yeah. This is a very Japanese thing.
This is a very Japanese point, and like, okay, we got to figure out how to deal with tsunamis and earthquakes, and he makes Urup a storyteller to be like, tell the story of the sea god to get people to evacuate and all this stuff. It's a cute little scene, but that's it. But Urup comes back.
That is funny.
Urup comes back.
Not in this book.
Not in this book, and not in like a huge way like some of these other characters. But Urup comes back, and then the last big section, the Forbidden Army is working on a road network, and while they're rebuilding this new coastal city, it jumps over to the road network, and Kaede and Halbert are working on it, and they're basically just becoming combat engineers, building roads and stuff like that. Soma's there inspecting it with Licia and Aisha, and then Aisha gets a letter. There's been a massive landslide in the God-protected forest where she's from.
Yep.
And Soma's like, okay, we're going now.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody here working on this road, drop it, dump your cargo, pack up all of our supplies. We're going on a rescue mission now. And so they go off, and there's a big search and rescue mission at it. It's not complicated. It's very simple, like digging out the town and doing things like that. Soma uses wooden mice because he can control dolls better than pens.
Yeah.
So he starts searching, and they find a bunch of people. You get a couple more characters. You get village elder Woden Udgard, Aisha's father and the leader of the Dark Elves in the God-protected forest. You get Robthor Udgard, Aisha's uncle, who wanted to keep everyone out and keep things the same.
Yeah.
And there's a great scene of him being like, if we had done what you had said about periodic thinning, would this have prevented it? And someone's like, I don't know. You would probably have a better sense of it because you'd be out observing it, but who knows?
Yeah.
Because Robthor, his family dies. Later, they're able to find where his wife and daughter were buried, and his daughter is still alive.
Right.
But
this is very much, there's two factions that are playing out here. And that's what the uncle and the father are. The one of them, the father is very much on the side of, we have to maintain and work on the forest, and the uncle is very much, we don't touch the forest.
no, it's a little bit different. That the father is, we need to go beyond the forest. We need to start reaching out to other people, and we need to be willing to change our traditions. And the uncle is like, no, our traditions have kept us forever. We change nothing.
That's probably a better way to put it. Yeah.
Then there's the landslide, and there's a bunch of really good moving scenes with that. But
Yes.
we're starting to run long. Oh yeah, by the way, the little girl. Yes, she comes back. She's a massively important character.
That is
the little girl that Halbert and Soma dig out of the ground at one point is one of the most important characters in the series later.
Oh, the first one or the second one?
I believe it's the first. I'm not sure if it's Rob Thor's daughter or not. I don't think it is.
Yes.
I think it's the one that Soma and Halbert find before that.
Okay.
They're obviously saving a bunch of people, but there's one where they save a little girl. She is an incredibly important character later.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. They do what they can to try to save the village. A lot of people die, but a lot of people get rescued. Then you get the final ending cliffhangers.
Mm-hmm.
Castor is like, I'm going to follow Georg, and the new king is weird, and I don't like him. And Excel's like, you're a doofus.
Yeah.
Castor's like, you're right, I'm a doofus, but I still don't like the new king. And Georg is like, I think tradition's cool. I'm going to do what I want. And Excel's like, oh, fuck, we're all doomed.
Yep.
It's obviously more complicated than that. And then, hey, we get to find out about Castor's family. His wife, Excella, who is Excel's daughter, and their children, Carl and Carla. And Carl is a hothead and is going to join Castor in the revolution. Yes. And then, hey, we switch over to other cliffhanger scene, and we meet Gaius VII, Prince of Amadonia, planning with his son, Julius Amadonia, to invade and take back their stolen lands from the kingdom of Elfrieden that they lost in the previous war 100 years ago. And then you meet Raroa Amadonia, the little sister who loves money, but is, like, cute and a good person, but also has crazy plans.
Yep.
And that's where the novel... Oh, minor character that's not brought up in the manga, because why would you? But Raroa mentions the ruler of Nelva, who will be in the second book. Doesn't get the name yet, but I wanted to list every character, so the ruler of Nelva, which is this little fort town, gets mentioned.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember that one.
That's the end of the book, besides the adventurer story. There's a little adventure story. You learn more about Soma's power, and there's 4 adventurers. Dees, the fighter, Juno, the rogue, Febral, the priest, and Julia, the mage. They're not in the manga, but they show up a bunch more times too. They're more side adventurer characters. It's a nice little story. But the manga, one of the last stories is Juna being sent by Licia to help Soma fall asleep because he's extremely overworked and burning himself out.
Right.
And it's a very cute scene. It's a very nice little romantic scene between the two of them. I'm sure that won't have anything come of it.
Nope.
That is not in the first book of the novels, but I think it's in like the second book or the third book. It's It's just not in the first book. That's the other difference.
Gotcha. Okay.
But that's the beginning.
That is book 1. Or
That is
book
book
1 and 2
one.
of the manga.
Yes. All the people who show up, everything that happens, and it's a lot.
Yes, it is.
Having said that, and feel free to tell me that I'm wrong and no, you can't remember any of them. How many of those characters, when I mentioned, oh, it's this person, where you're like, oh yeah, I remember exactly who they are and what they did?
So, if you say the name, I probably wouldn't recognize them right off the bat because I'm obviously reading the manga and they don't say the name that often. But if you showed me a picture of them, I was like, I know who that is, I know who that is. I know all of them by their look because the manga does a really good job of making everyone unique and easily identifiable. No one is similar to someone else, which happens in some other stories where, okay, this is person A, this is person B. It's like, this person just has a slightly different haircut. Otherwise, they look exactly the same. But no, in this one, their bodies' shapes are different, their hair is different, their clothes are different. Everything about everyone is completely different. So everyone is unique. All of these named characters have unique designs completely.
Yeah.
It's so easy to identify everyone. So even if I don't remember their name, it's like, I know who that is, I know who that is, I know who that is. And I remember all of them just because at first glance, yep, that's that person.
Yep.
So that really helps with so many characters that have been introduced.
Yeah, because there is a lot.
Yes,
there
is a lot.
I didn't bring... This is probably the one that introduces the most, other than a couple where something else happens where, like, you have to meet all of the people of another kingdom that has a bunch of people in it that are fighting for position.
Yep.
There's, like, one or two other places where it's like, oh, there's a bunch of, like, really major characters. This is probably the most in any one, and everything else is a little bit more manageable, but they come back, and it's that they're so memorable and distinct. In the book, obviously, seeing the names, you don't see their pictures as much, although they do have illustrations. But Aisha, who starts off as the really cool person and then becomes the person who eats everything and is always goofy in the background. Like, they're eating the octopus and she just picked up the whole thing and stuffs it in her mouth for a second. And it's like, yep, I remember exactly who that is instantly. No one else is like that. Everyone else is different. No one has the same personality or character traits as well. Everyone stands out, even just in the text. And the manga does an incredibly good job of making everyone visually distinctive.
Yep.
I've made fun of, like, the manga. Oh, you left out the 2 doctors and the mother dragon and the ruler of Nelva, who I couldn't remember who that was. But the manga does an incredibly good job of adapting the story to a manga. And the art is amazing.
Yes, it is very, very well done.
Yes. Yeah. And it's very distinctive.
Yep.
It's this, like, manga-fied version of, like, I feel like 16th or 17th century, like, European art. It's so unique, which is great. The problem is the art in the novels is meh.
Oh, really?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's not perfect. It gets the job done. But there are sometimes moments where it's, like, very stiff and very bog standard. It doesn't have a unique style. The characters are distinctive, and you can tell who is who, but they're never anywhere as cool as they are in the manga. Okay. And there are... The first book's better, but some of the later books, there's scenes where it's like, oh, that's the picture. Okay, it's person standing. Yep. Okay. There are times where it's excellent. The covers are really good. There are certain scenes where something's going on and the artist did a really good job of, like, trying to make that visual, but it's nothing compared to the manga. The manga is amazing.
Yes, I really like it. Trying to see if they've done anything else.
I don't know. One other thing I learned when I was rereading the manga for this episode, they didn't have any assistants. They did this entirely by themselves, at least the first book or two. This is all just one person for the beginning of the series, drawing by themselves, which is like, I mean, anyone can ultimately draw the whole thing with enough time, but it's like, oh, this is them just by themselves drawing this. This is kind of incredible.
Yeah, it doesn't look... They may have done other things, but it doesn't look like much.
Yeah.
But the style is very... I don't want to say sketchy, but it's very much a dynamic. It's a unique style in itself, but it's very much how it's a lot of lines is how I would put it. It's very much a dynamic style because when people are walking or doing certain movements or things like that, it can be very dynamic, especially when he uses his power or things like that. And there's all these different shots and stuff like that. So it's very well done. So I really like the art in this. And as we've said, the style, everyone is unique. The style itself is very, well, you can tell it's a manga, but it's not your very generic kind. It's very much, you can tell that this is someone who really likes to do this and really has honed their craft to be something that is their own.
Very much, yeah.
Because I really like it when he uses his powers to control everything. Because it's really well done in the manga of how it's portrayed.
Yeah. And I to me, my thing is the clothing in this is so has so much more detail than a lot of other things. It reminds me of something like Clamp does with their outfits.
Yes.
Where how people are dressed means so much. People do occasional costume changes and wear different outfits. Like you had said, it's still very obviously manga, but it's distinct from anyone else. You don't look at this art and go, I can think of 15 people who would make art that looks like that. It's like, no, this is, if I saw them do anything else, I would recognize them immediately. Yeah. They just haven't because they've been doing this series.
Right. It's like when you think of Eden Zero and Fairy Tail. You see just one picture of that. It's like, yep, that's that person. Yep, that's that person. Same thing with this. This is unique enough where if you saw them do something else, like, yep, that's them. Which is a good thing.
Yeah, it is. And it is good. It's still really good art, and it fits the theme. It fits the world well. This slightly more European, over-decorated clothing and such. It fits the whole story itself very well at the same time, too. So I love the art in this, and I like the novels more because there's so much more to them.
Which is typical.
And is a tendency for me as well. I tend to like the novels more because there are things that they can do in the book that's really easy, like a lot more of those language and cultural shifts and what happens, and having these really tiny notes about people who will show up later, and it's like almost feels like, why are you mentioning this one sentence? Like, because that person comes back. And this is when they first show up, and it's crazy that that's 5 books before it happens or something like that. The manga doesn't get that, but with this art, I think it more than makes up for it. I'm going to read both because it's like my favorite series.
Well, yeah.
But as someone who thinks the light novels are one of the best stories I've read in a long time and still one of my favorites, if someone said, I'm not going to read the novels, I'm just going to read the manga, I would be like, okay, fair enough. Yep. I don't think that's a problem at all.
Okay, good. No, I really like it. I've only read the manga, and I wasn't sure after reading book 1, because like, okay, I couldn't tell where this was going.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one of those stories where there's no obvious bad guy kind of thing. It's very much, we're going to just live through rebuilding this country, but it's very much, while there is fantasy in it, because there's magic and things like that, and monsters and stuff, that is not the point of the story. It's more of, that's just the scenery around us, and that's a tool we can use. But it's not, okay, now we're going to go get the Adventurers Guild and all those kind of things, at least as far as I know. And we're going to all be adventurers and go off and explore dungeons and stuff like that. That is not the point of this at all.
No, it is not. And that is exactly the case. Yeah. I think that is probably the other thing I would say that the manga does not do as well. The first manga is good, but you're still sort of trying to figure out where the story's going. The first novel does a better job of that. Yeah. So you can't just read one manga. You kind of have to read the first 2 and be like, okay, I see where we're going.
Yep. And that's pretty typical for a light novel that gets turned into a manga, because the first volume is usually like just half the story that was written, and then the second volume is the other half, which kind of completes the whole story. Which, if you read anything that has a manga version of a light novel, this is typically what happens, where it's two books to really get a complete story. And that's the same thing in this case. So definitely reading the second one, maybe like, okay, this is... Now that I know what's going on, it's a bit more interesting because, okay, we did all this setup, and now things are about to kick off where now there's going to be a crisis that we have to deal with. Like an actual crisis, because you had the landslide, which was a crisis, and a few other things, but now it's setup's done, crisis time, let's go solve it. The only problem I have with the story right now is that Soma seems to know how to do everything. He's like, oh, I remember how to rescue people. I know you have to do this. I know how to do forestry stuff. You have to do that. Everything is Machiavelli. And nothing has really been... He's exhausted because he's working so much, but nothing has really been that hard for him.
Yeah.
He hasn't struggled yet, besides he has a ton of paperwork to do.
Yeah. So I don't want to talk too much about it because
exactly.
we're sort of on the first book.
Yep.
But I think the things I would say to that is... The first part of it is like, oh, he just knows about periodic thinning. Oh, he just knows about this. Oh, he just knows about that. Like, it's the fact that he knows about Machiavelli stuff. You have to remember that is what he was studying, and he was like super into it when he came here. So he will know a lot of random political stuff that you might be like, how would somebody know? It's like, because that's what he was studying, and that was his whole point.
Right.
And I think that's where you can sort of give that as like, that's part of his character, is he knows about how these sorts of similar events would have turned out in our world, and can apply those ideas to this world before they've entirely happened. And he will never stop talking about Machiavelli. Ever.
And that makes sense for the rebuilding of the kingdom part, but the idea that nothing he knows... He hasn't run into something that he doesn't know what to do.
Yes. I think the way... Right now, they're simple things, and as they get more complicated, the way he solves them isn't he knows the answer.
Okay.
Which is something that's part of what the story becomes is, and it starts in this beginning where, with the recruitment drive, is he doesn't know the answer to everything, but he finds the people who do, asks them what to do, and then does what they say. So he's constantly trying to figure out who is the person who has the answer to this problem and putting them on the problem. As the story goes along, it's not about him just knowing what to do. There'll be a point where there's a bunch of financial stuff that's going on. It's like, okay, who do I have who's a financial person who can deal with this crisis? And he brings them in and works with them on doing this. And he provides stuff he knows from our world, and they provide the like actual on the ground knowledge for how it works in this world. And that's how the problems get solved as it goes on.
Okay.
Because it's the first one, because he's just starting to get people, he's just sort of has the answers.
Okay.
And another part of it, and the other end of the other way that problems tend to get solved, is he sets something up and then he just lets it roll, and you watch these problems get solved by people part of that solution that he started, moving forward and building up and building up and building up and causing actual changes and resolving these issues. Or he, like I said, they'll hint at something coming up. We didn't talk about it. The fact that the Forbidden Army has a single naval vessel, the flagship Albert.
Yep.
That will be critically important very soon.
Okay.
In a way that I cannot say anything about. Yep, that's going to be a thing. And it's just brought up here. And it's that first novel doesn't have the time to sort of be like, oh, I remember when we talked about this a while ago, and now we're going to finally get to use it. And here's the problem. Because that's, I think, a lot of what Soma as a character is. He's the person who, and Hakuya especially, who prepares for everything. He's not quite Batman, but he's real close.
Close to Batman. Okay.
He doesn't have everything planned out, but he's taken a moment to be like, how could this go wrong in every possible way? And what can I have in place to prevent that? And that's a big part of which we didn't spend too much on, at the end of the rescue arc. That's what he gets so mad at himself about for failing to stop this landslide is, I'm the king. I'm supposed to be prepared for everything that can happen so that I can respond to these things. And that's not the entire answer, and that's going to cause him problems. But that's most of the way to where he's going to end up, is that he's looked at every possibility and taken steps to try to have something to respond no matter what happens.
Okay.
Yeah. There will be times when he's challenged more so, but yeah, the first book doesn't have it quite so much. And there are definitely books where that doesn't happen, where he's not challenged at all, where things just all sort of go his way, but it's not meant to be that kind of a story all the time.
Okay.
Most of the
That's
time
fine.
it is.
It's just one of those, okay, yeah, he knows all the answers and things like that. So if it was always he just knew everything, it's like, okay, this is going to get boring after a while. But no, it's good. I really like it. I will definitely read more of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
As a final note, what I will say, if you're interested in the first book and you're like, okay, this is kind of good, I'm not sure how much I'm going to like it, set yourself the goal. If you're doing the light novels, it's the first 4 novels.
Okay.
I don't think you have to get through the 4th one. I think the 3rd one will get you the majority of it, and the 4th one is sort of the cleanup from the end of it. But there is a lot of things set up in this first book. A lot of the big, really huge ones that, okay, I think it's if you get to the end of the 3rd book, you'll get a lot of these things that have been set up from book 1 come to pass by the end of the 3rd book. And you'll be like, oh, this is what Tom meant when he said the writer's constantly seeding things that you think is going to be about this, but it's actually about that, which is actually not even about that. It's about the other thing further on. And all these pieces coming into play. It's the 3rd and the 4th book where you finally start really seeing them drop out. And it's like, oh, now I see what he was trying to say. For the manga, that's about the 6th to the 8th volume, which
Somewhere
is
around
kind of a lot more to say, like, hey, you should just do this.
Yeah.
Even though it will probably be faster to read. But if you give it a little bit of time, at least I think the story will reward you, because I didn't just bring up all these characters just for the heck of it. There's a lot that comes up that's real important and really cool that they do because of that.
Yes.
But do you have any final thoughts that you want to add?
The only thing I can say is check it out. Yeah, it's good. You should definitely at least read the first 2, and then after that you could decide if you want to keep going, because that's a fairly contained story. But I would recommend it if you... It is an isekai, so it has those tropes kind of thing where he's reborn and all that stuff. But it feels different enough where it's someone, instead of managing a farm or going on adventures, it's someone trying to oversee the development of a country, which for the most part I don't think has really come up that often. And I think this, at least for the first 2 books, has done a really good job of showing how that can be done. But also kind of the intrigue of, okay, how do you do this when the country was already in really bad straits to begin with? It's not like he created the country. This is someone, I got a country that was doing very poorly, and now I have to fix it. This is the best I can do right now.
Yep. And also, how can I make idols?
Yes.
And
other things.
And cooking programs.
And udon, and yeah.
Yes. And I need my soy sauce.
Yeah. It's so funny because that was also a big thing in Mushoku Tensei. He's trying to get all the ingredients he can't get from Japan.
Yeah.
He doesn't get some of them till like the 23rd book.
I can believe that. Yep. It's a great series.
Yep.
But with that, that is going to be the end of this episode of the Mudai Manga Book Club podcast. I'm sure Louie is so thankful that I'm no longer talking about that.
No, I like it, so it's good.
Oh, good. But if you'd like to listen to us more, you can find us on Blue Sky at Mudai Manga Book Club, where we announce whenever we're releasing a new episode, either by audio format on Podbean and other podcasting apps under Mudai Manga Book Club, or whenever we put up a new YouTube version, a visual version of our episodes, which you can also find at Mudai Manga Book Club on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, 5-star review, and other things that I should probably look up so that I can say them because I keep forgetting what they are whenever I'm talking about this. But please do all of those things to let other people know that you enjoyed the episode and let us know that you enjoyed the episode. Yes. And if you have any questions, comments, rants, or anything else you'd like to let us know about, feel free to drop us a comment in any of those places, or you can email us directly at mudaimangabookclub@gmail.com. But with that, it is time for our final recommendation. Because I feel like talking, I'm going to go first because it's nice and simple and easy.
Okay.
And that is, hey, there's a free demo for Sonic Racing Crossworlds out there. You should go try it. It's real good.
Okay.
So this Sonic Racing is the Sonic version of the kart racing game. And the newest one, called Crossworlds, is coming out, I think, in the next week or two.
Okay.
And they've had some demos and beta tests and things like that. So it's basically kart racing, but with Sonic. But there's a free demo available. It is really fun. The tracks are very intricate and fun. They're good racing tracks. They're fun. But there's a really interesting idea where every time you go and you do a race, one of the laps, you will warp to another place and you'll drive through a different track for that second lap.
Oh, weird.
And then you'll warp back for the third lap. So every time you play a track, it's never exactly the same. And the person in first place at the end of the first lap gets to pick. So you'll be driving down this like crazy city track, and then all of a sudden you'll go to a snowy biome and you'll drive through a whole lap of this snowy land, and then you'll go back to your first track. And at least according to the demo, in the circuits, you'll do 3 different tracks, and then the 4th track will be those 3 tracks combined together.
Oh, cool. Huh.
Instead of randomly warping to a different one, you just warp through a lap each of these different tracks, and there's all these things going on. There's things to avoid. There's stuff that changes about the tracks. There's different mechanics and things that show up in them. The carts are customizable. The power-ups are to some degree customizable. You get a little thing that you can set certain upgrades in, including setting certain items that you'll start the race with, and we'll put them in item boxes for you to be able to pick them up, that if you didn't take them, you may not ever get. And so there's a lot of things that you can decide about how you're going to race on these tracks that you can set up before you even start racing, with your character, your vehicle, your upgrades, and even some of the items that you get. And then you might still get there, and the track is still not even going to be what you expect.
Okay.
It's very fun. It's fast. It's quick. Like, it just rips like any good kart racer. It doesn't take too long, but it is a lot of fun. There are a bunch of characters. There are a bunch of unusual extra characters you can get. Like, Mega Man is going to be in there.
Oh, I saw that, yes.
Steve and Alex from Minecraft are going to be in there. Pac-Man and all of them are going to be in there. SpongeBob.
Of course.
Yeah. Kazuya.
Oh, yes, I saw that too.
Is it Kazuya or is it the other? One of the people from the Yakuza series is going to be in it because it's a Sega product. So he's just in the game as a kart racer too.
Yep.
But it's fun. And hey, free demo. Just go get it, download it, give it a try. It lets you play the first circuit. After you do a couple races, it unlocks some more things and let you try stuff. It's really fun. If you want a kart racer for reasons, that's real good. It's real good.
It's still funny that Sonic needs a race car, but
he's gotta slow himself down so that it's fair for everyone.
You have to make it fair.
Yeah. He needs that nice relaxing drive.
Cool.
It is a ton of fun, and it's just good, quick, easy to jump in, and again, free demo.
Okay then.
Worth checking
Nice.
out. How about you? What do you want to recommend?
So, I will recommend something that came out a few days ago. I've talked about them before, but the Glitch Animation Studio on YouTube has released a new pilot for a new show. It is their first 2D animated show. They've done a lot of 3D animation before. This is a new 2D one. It's created by the same person who created The Owl House. It's nothing like The Owl House. Sorta. So what it's called is Knights of Guinevere. This is their pilot episode, so it may change depending on when they actually release the next episode. But it is very good. It is very different. It's a story about an amusement park where the amusement park is up in the sky and it drops all of its trash down on the people below, and it follows two characters who live down below. One works as an engineer up in the amusement park, and the other one works as a kind of a not a trash collector, but a junk collector who collects things that were dropped from the amusement park, scoops it up, recycles it, tries to make money that way. And they find an android because the park is... They haven't gone too detailed in what the park is, but the park's main mascots are these Guineveres. And there's a ton of different Guineveres, but they all are the same. They're all called Guinevere. They just have different costumes. But the idea is in this park, when you meet a Guinevere, they already all know. So, like, if you walk up to one, they'll remember you and the things that you have done with either this Guinevere or other Guineveres, so they can talk to you about that. So there's Guineveres everywhere. But they find one because it fell, and the story starts off really interesting, where a Guinevere is... it's hard. I don't want to spoil it. But a lot of time passes throughout just this pilot episode, and it's very much they find this Guinevere and they want to fix it because one of the people who is an engineer is working up in the amusement park, and the other one wants to go up there too to work there. But they both live down below. So they think, if I fix this one up, I could go up there too and get a better job because, like, I don't make that much. But if I fix this, I can prove to them that I'm good enough to work upstairs. So they're trying to go through and do all that. And then some crazy stuff happens because that Guinevere is not supposed to be there. And they send someone out to get it. And yeah, it's not what you expect at all. Some stuff happens. It's like, yeah, this is not a happy story. But it's also, you're not quite sure how messed up the story is going to be yet. Just because it's like, at the very end, there's hints that this is going to be probably something that screws with your head. But only the pilot is out right now. So I think it's like 20-ish minutes long. And it's definitely, there is blood. And gore is relative. It's kind of hard with androids, like what counts as gore. But there's definitely some violence, blood kind of thing. So if you're squeamish about that stuff, this probably isn't for you.
Okay.
But it's very interesting. I want to know where it's going to go next to really give my, I'm going to keep watching this. So we'll see. Because it is definitely a different kind of tone from their other stories, which this one has fewer funny moments. Like some of their other ones, like Murder Drones and Amazing Digital Circus, and even the Gaslight one. They're all funny. Like, they're trying to be funny. Or they have serious moments, but it's like split half and half, funny, serious. Like Murder Drones is more like 50-50. Amazing Digital Circus is funny, but if you think about it, also it's not serious. It's kind of freaky. And then the Gaslight one, they've only done the pilot for that one too. And that one kind of is more like Guinevere, where there's funny stuff, but there's more serious stuff going on. Guinevere is very much, I wouldn't say there's a lot of comedy or even like funny bits at all. It's very much a serious story that has even more serious stuff in it. So it's different. It's good. I want to kind of see where it goes next. I don't know when. I don't think they've even said when the next one's coming out because the pilot came out a few days ago. So, but if you liked the other glitch shows, this is a good one to check out because they're always trying to figure out how many, if they want to keep going. I think it's already at like 6 million views now in like a couple days. So people were looking forward to this one because of the person who created the story.
Okay.
But yeah, It's called Knights of Guinevere by Glitch, is the YouTube channel.
Very cool.
Yeah, check it out. And I've talked about their other ones, so check those out too.
All right. Very nice. Well, with that is going to be the end of this week's episode. Tune in. I don't know why I'm doing that. It makes it sound like it's a spooky story. Tune in next. That makes me sound like I'm very excitable. Tune in next week, where we will be discussing
Frieren, the second arc, which is the Aura the Guillotine arc. And if you want to read along, it's chapters 14 to 23, or the somewhere in the second book to, I think, like halfway through the third book. So we'll talk about that on our next episode.
Yeah. So until then, have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Okie dokie. Aha! Wow!
Wow.
Open salami.
Open salami.
Apertuto patete.
That was pretty good. Okay, let's actually get started now. As soon as this
Luigi.
finishes.
Mario.
This is going to be all night long. I'm just going to have to cut them all out.
Wow!
Do you have a guess of who the person sending?
And
Mario.
who you know is, by now, is the bad guy. One of the bad guys. And because of that, actually that's kind of a big spoiler. I probably shouldn't say that.
Okay, I've already forgotten it.
Okay.
I was going to say, it's the true final battle. It's Xehanort Part 3.
Yeah.